Welcome to Buckets. This is Action Network's WNBA betting podcast presented by BetMGM. I'm your host, Maria Marino, and I'm joined once again by our WNBA expert, Dano Mattia. Dano, how you feeling?
Ooh, that's tough to watch. Just got done with the first Liberty Fever game, and doesn't look much better for Caitlin and the crew. Sad to watch. Terrible offense, and it's the one team Stewie plays really well against. So, good for the Libs, but trouble in Indianapolis for sure.
Yes. So as anyone listening can guess, we are recording this here on Thursday night. Just wrapped up that game between the Liberty and Fever. It was an absolute rout by the Libs, but this is our Friday best bets episode. So we're going to start, Dano, by getting your favorite bets for Friday, and then we'll look ahead a little bit more to the weekend. So what do you like for Friday, May 16th? Excuse me, Friday, May 17th.
Yeah. Happy birthday to my brother if you're listening today. I am taking the Mystics plus 10.5. For one, I just think they have too many veterans to lose by double digits, and we saw how they responded well against the Liberty. They were down, I think, 10 at one point, going into halftime, up 3. Crazy. And we didn't really see Brittany Sykes assert her physical dominance until the fourth quarter when they were down. They got pieces. Shakira Austin looks great. She's on a minutes restriction, but I feel like that is slowly going to be ramped up. And I think we're going to see a lot of teams after they play the Fever and they're all juiced up and it's on national television or Amazon Prime, whatever, they're going to see some letdown spots. So I like the Mystics in this spot.
Yeah, I like that too. So the Mystics in their opener lost by 5 to New York. They were 11.5-point dogs, so that was a cover for the Mystics. I was impressed with how they came out. Ariel Atkins with the 20 points. Brittany Sykes just doing a little bit of everything. This is something that we've been anticipating from her, taking on a bigger role, especially without Elena Deladon. So she had the 14 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. So just filling up that box score. Really like the point you made too about just, what are the Sun going to do coming off that big high of that opening night and just absolutely handling the Fever on national TV and all the buzz. I saw, who was it tweeting Pat McAfee?
DeWanna Bonner.
Yes, DB. DB was like, hey, this is who I am, because Pat McAfee was like, I didn't know who she was, but she's a bucket. And we're like, yeah, she's like the fifth all-time leading scorer in the WNBA. But yeah, I just think that the Mystics, even though they're not the same team as they were a season ago, like they're a different animal than the Fever, who are so young and, somebody who's expected to be one of their best players for the foreseeable future. And Caitlin Clark is a rookie and, it's her first or second time out.
Yeah. I know Steph Dolson probably won't remain the starter long term. I'm not sure what they plan on doing there, but it opens up so many driving lanes. We just have Shakira kind of floating around the high post and down low. Like we saw Ariel Atkins kind of get to the rim or and then create space for herself in the shot because they're afraid of the drive. So it's nice. And if she's hitting shots, that doesn't hurt either. So it's not a terrible team. I know a lot of people think really bad on the Mystics, but people forget like Ariel Atkins, like Team USA, Brittany Sykes. I mean, what first team all defense? They got dogs.
Yeah. I think dog is like the term to describe Brittany Sykes. I mean, look,
100%.
all last season there were so many injuries on the Mystics, and she just held it down. All right, so that's your first favorite bet, I should say, for Friday. Mystics plus 10.5. Second game on the slate, Storm minus 2.5 at the Lynx. This is a rematch from opening night. Lynx came out and made a statement against the Storm, beat them 83-70 in a game that Seattle was favored by 7.5.
Yeah, and I mean, I think both teams held almost a double-digit point lead this game. Like Storm looked really good to start, and then went extremely cold, and the Lynx are just consistent. And what you're getting from is great. 20 and 12. I mean, she's gonna be in the MVP race again for sure, especially if the Lynx keep winning games. I think Courtney Williams is just the perfect addition to this team. Does everything just like Brittany Sykes. Maybe not as strong on the defensive end, but goes after every loose ball. Uh, gets every. She's probably good at 10 assists last game, but there's some missed shots, and I mean that leads me to my actual play. Forgot to say it, but the over. Uh, this one went way under. I don't think the Storm hit 10 points until the final minute of the fourth quarter. They were just really out of it. Joe Lloyd was 3 for 19, and I don't think we see Joe Lloyd do that again. So I would look at her over props too. I don't think there was an alt for 30, but last time she shot under 25%, she went for 41 the next night. I think that was last year. So
Yeah, I mean,
she's not someone who's going to be held down often.
sadly, at this time, I am not seeing an actual point prop number for Jewel Lloyd, and I thought the same thing. I don't know if you happen to remember what it was going into the last game, but
Uh, should be 20 and a half, because I think 25 plus is around like plus 280, which is still great. I think I'm all over Joel Lloyd tomorrow, all over Scout Diggins Smith. They're not gonna repeat that negative performance. No way. But I still think the Lynx are strong. They're a home dog. They've done well in this spot before. Uh, Cheryl Reed's a great coach, so I don't hate the Lynx here either. I'll probably play them, but I do like the over more.
gotcha. All right, and confirmed, I'm seeing 20 and a half as the points prop in the market
Yeah,
for
love it.
Jewel Lloyd. Yeah, 10 points, like you mentioned, 3 of 19 from the field. I just didn't expect that. Wnba had 20 for Seattle, was the leading scorer. Skylar Diggins Smith also had 10. So it was clear. It was clear that the chemistry is still a work in progress. I mean, it wasn't a bad game. Like
Yeah.
Minnesota, I think, pulled away late. Behind the career high 22 from Smith and then the 20
Oh
from
yeah.
Collier. So it's actually kind of intriguing that we have this rematch so soon after opening night, because the Storm we've been pretty high on coming into the season, feel like they have a very high ceiling, and then the Lynx, also in our Western Conference preview, was a team that you, Jim, Turvey, and I liked the over on their win total, them to make the playoffs. So to see them actually come out and take care of business, unlike what they did last season, where they were horrible to start the season, that was
Yeah, 0-7. Yeah, you're right. It's night and day, but it's good to see Fee like get up and get going too. What, it was her best season ever last year, and she kind of picked up right where she left off. And uh, I'm excited for Dorka to get back. I don't know when. I don't know if you have an update, but I haven't seen anything.
I
I know Nika's still dealing with a visa issue, so I don't think she's playing.
I know that's a little unfortunate for some of our favorite UConn alumni, but so you said you probably go Lynx plus 2.5 here. I'm
Yeah,
kind of with you. This is an interesting line. Like, I could easily see the Storm just pulling it together and winning a tight game. But I think based on what we saw the other night, the Lynx is the safer side.
yeah. I just think it's a Lynx are not a bad team. Like the books think they're extremely bad this year, and they should be favored at home against most teams. Storm haven't proven anything yet, and we really didn't see a lot from their bench. Jordan Horston was one bright spot, I would say, but still a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to mesh. And they're thin. They got rid of Jay Melbourne, so the backup point guard is an interesting spot. I know you can slot Joel Lloyd over. Joel Lloyd had 10 boards last game too. It was very, very, very out of place. 10
Yeah.
boards and 10. I don't know if he's ever done that before.
So I was thinking about this, just looking at the title odds. Like, clearly the line is coming from this idea that the Storm kind of got stacked in the offseason, and
Yeah, super team.
they're getting a little bit too much respect right now because they're not quite proven and they don't have the chemistry piece. But like, even looking on MGM, the Storm at plus 1,300 to win the title, the Lynx at plus 4,500 to win the title. And again, that's just purely, I think that's purely on, name recognition, adding Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nneka Ogwumike.
I mean, I was hopeful that the Liberty would lose some games to start the year so their price could go down a little bit,
Well,
but I don't see that happening.
yeah, well, and that brings us to just looking ahead to the weekend here. We mentioned the Fever Liberty game on Thursday night. Well, they're playing again on Saturday. So just like how we have with the Storm and Lynx, sort of this same matchup back to back, a home and home, we have that for Fever Liberty as well. And I like how you brought up like maybe the price changing, because I do wonder if that happens with the Fever, because they, coming out to start the season, they have been dealt a pretty tough hand as far as like their opponents and who they have, Sun, then Liberty back to back, and it goes on and on, which I actually think might work in their favor, because these are games that they might not have won anyway. So you might as well kind of play those opponents while you're still figuring things out. And then when you do start to get a rhythm, like play those teams that you can come away with wins. But that being said, they were pretty demoralized Thursday night, and you're planning on going to the game Saturday at 1:00 Eastern.
I mean, maybe we're planning on skipping a wedding to see Caitlin Clark, right? I turned to my wife as we're down 31. I said, "You still want to go?" Yikes! I it's hard. I mean, I was totally on this idea that the Fever would have something and keep this a little bit close tonight, and then get ran out the gym.
Yeah.
In New York, and I mean, I just think the offense and cohesion is not there, and I mean, it's good to remind everybody that Caitlin had basically 2 weeks to come in and learn a system that definitely doesn't really fit her game, if I'm being honest. She's a player that gets up and goes, likes to dish to a lot of shooters. There's so much standing around. Watching Aaliyah just kind of pound into Jonquel tonight, it's just, what are we doing?
Yeah,
I mean, they look best when they're out and running, and it's hard to do that against 6'7" Jonquel Jones and 6'4" Stewie.
Right. And, I actually think that what Aaliyah Boston did to start the game against Jonquel was like, it wasn't the worst, because JJ did get into a little bit of foul trouble and kind of sat, but they didn't take advantage at all when she was on the bench, and Stewie just completely went off. So we don't have a line quite yet for Saturday, but you're guessing it'll be around what?
12.5. I think 4 points for home. It was 8.5. It might be higher than that. And it's, at this point, it's hard to bet the Fever after what you've watched.
Yeah.
Granted, I mean, the Liberty know that. I mean, I don't think they're going to be as amped up. It is a home opener too, though. So I think a first half line here is great. They come out, they're pumped up. First home game against the Fever last year, they were up 36-14, I believe. This was Stewie 45 game.
Yes. Yes, and you mentioned that Stewie likes to play against the Fever.
Yeah.
So she had
kills this team.
31 points, 10 rebounds Thursday night. I mean, shot swimmingly from the floor, 12 of 21. Oh wow! I just realized Jonquel had a double as well, 14 and 10 for JJ. So, and then I'll just say this about Caitlin Clark really quick, just because I know it's been a topic of conversation and people are interested in how she adjusts. I mean, although I think this was a worse game for the Fever than the Sun game in some ways, she did improve some things. I mean, she had 3 turnovers as opposed to 10. Granted, she didn't play most of the fourth because the game was out of hand, but 7 rebounds, 6 assists, only had 9 points, but I still was encouraged by, some of the other things that she did, and then just not turning the ball over as much. But also, she might have not been fully herself, considering that she was probably concerned about turning the ball over.
Yeah. She also had a step back going to her right for like the first time I can remember.
Okay, so
Never
hold on.
happened.
So with all due respect to Debbie Antonelli, she said that she was going to her right, but my husband Steve and I were watching it, and we're like, but she stepped to her left before she shot the ball. You know what I mean? Like she dribbled right
Baby
and then
steps.
stepped left. Just
Baby
clarifying.
steps.
Just clarifying. But
Yeah.
anyway, so just as a general preview, you're basically avoiding betting the Fever and would consider betting the Liberty first half for Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I think first quarter, first half, you let it go. And if Caitlin goes off, so be it. But I also think the Liberty starters outside of Stewie and John Quilkin putbacks, they were shooting terribly. I think they were 3 for 15 from three in the first half.
Yeah,
Like
they were
Sabrina was 1 for 7
they were not
until she hit the last one.
Yeah, they were not shooting well from three, but everything else they were getting everything they wanted, like in the paint, Laney in the paint. So I hope we get a better game on Saturday. Not necessarily sure. Again, there's a reason to bet the Fever to cover here, but I am hopeful we get a much better showing, and we'll see what Christy Sides is made of, adjustment wise.
I mean, I think Melissa Smith will put forth some more effort. Like she didn't care tonight. Like, I feel like we've been close with her. She got benched in the fourth against Connecticut when she was a few points away from her point prop and a rebound away from 10. Tonight, it's like hands were bad, getting cooked by. If you're getting cooked by Stewie every play, that can't feel good,
Right, right. And I think she's capable. She's capable of way better, and she's definitely a player that I'm watching because I think once that connection gets established with Caitlin, and just the overall, team gets used to one another, I think she's definitely a player to watch. So that is our preview for the weekend. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we go?
Fever fans, be patient. Kelsey Mitchell's coming back like healthy at some point, right? Like she played tonight, but we didn't really get to see her and Caitlin cook too much together. And that's an incredible backcourt.
Yes.
Like Jesus, 2 of the top 5 scores of all time. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, same. I think we're going to learn a lot. Again, just getting to see those opponents go back at each other and just learning a lot over the first week of the season.
Yeah.
And you and I are just kind of observing. And again, we'll have a chance on Friday with these other games. And just to recap, you like the Mystics to cover at Connecticut. You also lean the Lynx to cover hosting the Storm, and you like that game to go over the total. Storm, Lynx over, and then Saturday, Liberty first half. All right, that's going to do it for our Friday Best Bets episode. Once again, we are presented by BetMGM. For Dano Mattia, I'm Maria Marino. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back on Tuesday with more best bets. Until then, let's get buckets.